Welcome to the Coherent Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Jemima House. Today's episode is titled Certification Without Structure is Just Branding. I want to talk to you about some things that I've learnt over March, which was B Corp month, and also from writing a white paper for Coherent Leadership. It's all very exciting. So if you are running a values-led company and you feel a bit tired out, I want you to listen. I really want you to listen, because there's a subconscious belief that if we are exhausted, then somehow we are failing. And it is not a personal failing. It's a structural one. And there's a reason also why this doesn't feel like common knowledge, is because we've built an entire economic culture around the myth of the exceptional individual. This has been going on for a very long time. Capitalism needs that myth. It needs you to believe that the right person with enough drive and vision can hold everything together through sheer force of will. I'm not going to go on to a tangent about how this is particularly damaging to women, but I could. It's a seductive story. And for now, let's stick with the values-led founders. This story is the reason why so many really brilliant founders are burning out inside companies that they built from their own creativity and with their own deep desire to do good and be good. And yet they're feeling like this is just not sustainable. And also the people around them are feeling that and are burning out, etc. Conflicts, disengagement, talented people leaving. You know the drill, you know the symptoms of this. And this is why this is so exciting to me, because it feels like a really, really good solution to all of these problems. So, what you might see and diagnose as people problems are not necessarily people problems, but more likely they're structural. So individual heroics, every business owner I know is good at those, and structural integrity are not the same thing. And you can only actually scale with one of them. So today I want to talk about the operating system problem inside the B Corp movement. I was really surprised when I researched, because I didn't just automatically know everything there was to know about B Corp. I did have to do my research, but I was really surprised that they don't seem to have a standard operating procedure that goes with their certification. And this is partly what has got me all excited and led me into deeper stages of creation. So, after 30 years of working with humans and building companies and working within organisations, I do know for sure that good intentions alone do not scale. And whether that's because you want to make more money or you want to have more impact or both, it only structures scale. If you don't have a structure, you cannot scale. End of. So B Corp certification is brilliant, and it does do something important. It measures what a company values. It's a really rigorous external audit, and it has changed the baseline of what business is expected to be. But what it doesn't do is tell you how to run that company from the inside. How the leadership is structured, how the people are developed, how authority moves, that part remains almost entirely unaddressed. So then what happens? Ethical, brilliant founders return to using the framework that everybody is used to, the pyramid, the hierarchy, the industrial era structure that was quite literally designed to manage factories and military units. It was never built to manage or to organise people with their best interests at heart, or ecosystems. It was never designed for companies that are built on the premise that work should be good for everybody, not just who they serve, but the people who are doing the work. And I guess this is a fairly new concept. So we do need something new. At the moment, we're asking our companies to behave like ecosystems while continuing to manage them like factories. The symptoms of this gap are really specific, and if you're living them at the moment, you will recognise them immediately. Decisions pile up at the top because there's no agreed mechanism for distributing authority that is built on the ethics. And then things happen at the bottom because people are complex, and it's really, it's really hard to resolve anything that sits outside routine process. So because communications only move vertically, problems tend to land back at the top, regardless of who is best placed to handle it, because they don't tend to move horizontally. And then you get bottlenecks, and they create burnout. And this is just a story as old as the hills. And you can see it in the stats. You can see it that not only founders, but also executives in values-led companies are burning out at extraordinary rates. And I guess the irony is that lots of them equate their constant involvement with deep care. It feels like devotion to the mission, but in reality, it's a structural design flaw. And then the most damaging consequence is the values degrade into branding. So they become kind of one-dimensional. Because if the company claims to value equity and collaboration, but still using the pyramid model, it's still using positional power to dictate operations. And the people inside the company notice that. They can feel it. Trust erodes. The values that everybody is familiar with can become like a source of cynicism rather than feel true. And these aren't problems that you can solve with a bit of coaching or another initiative. You can't coach your way out of a structural problem. You've got to change the organising principle of the company itself. And that's what Coherent Leadership System is built to do. At its core, it proposes one radical shift: replace positional power with mastery as the organising principle of the company. So in a traditional structure, authority is very top down. It comes from your job title. If you're a manager, you've got power over a team. It kind of creates friction, politics, and like a demoralising inefficiency that slows values-led companies all the way down. Nobody wants that. In the Coherent Leadership System, authority is earned through mastery. Decision-making power in a particular domain belongs to the person who has proven their capability to steward that domain. Mastery is the credential. That is a fundamentally different organising principle. The system maps through 3 levels. I won't go into them all now, but what makes this different from any other leadership model is that those 3 levels are not a ladder. They map to a holistic view of what it actually means to lead. Mastery of self, mastery of relationship, mastery of systems. Each one is distinct and each one is necessary, and not one sits above the others. So the Coherent Leadership System develops the whole person within the whole organisation. And that is what creates coherence rather than just compliance. And then, and this is the part I find the most important commercially, so exciting, we can tie pay directly to accreditation level. So although the B Corp movement has done something hard and super important, it has changed what businesses are expected to be. It's kind of incomplete, and there's no one saying that was their job, but certification without an operational structure will always be branding. It always depends on the person who is leading the company to keep it aligned with the certification and to actually create the architecture internally that makes values a daily operational reality. That is a big ask when you're running a company. So I've created the missing part of the equation, which is what the Coherent Leadership System is. It's the operating system that values-led companies haven't had until now. So if you want to know where your company sits in relation to this, I highly suggest you take the Friction Audit. It takes you 2 minutes. It's free. I'll leave the link in the show notes, and it's a really brilliant place to start. It shows you exactly where the structure is holding and where it isn't. Amazing. Same time next week. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to share.